So, you want to be a millionaire, huh? You want to drive a Bentley around and post inspirational nonsense on Instagram. Nice cars, nice watches, nice suits, private jets, slippers, for some reason. But how do you become a millionaire? How do you get to that level of success where you can afford to wear slippers outside? I don't know why you're asking me. This is a one-bedroom apartment. I don't know anything about being a millionaire. But you know who does? People on the internet. Now, Dan Lok is your pretty typical overcompensating internet entrepreneur rich guy. He wears ridiculous suits, drives expensive cars, lives in expensive houses, wears slippers outside. It's nothing new. And just like every other internet financial guru, his content is more on the motivational side than anything else. And what I mean by that is that while he brands himself as this financial wizard who can help you become rich, he doesn't really give you much financial advice. He sort of just inspires you to buy all the shit he sells. But we'll get to that later. Let's just take a look at one of his videos to get a better sense of what I'm talking about.
How to become a millionaire step by step. Toxic ideas that you've been exposed to is this: that somehow if you make money in a very short period of time, that somehow if you make money quickly, it is a bad idea.
We open on Dan Lok wearing a suit with too many buttons, slippers, of course, and what's that behind him? Is that a Bentley with his own name on the license plate? Now, I can't confirm this, but I presume that if he could suck his own dick, he would.
Let's say you make $25,000 a year, and let's say you work 40 years. How much money you've made? $1 million. Now, it's $1 million a lot of money? Absolutely. Instead of taking you 40 years, you make that same $1 million within 12 months, within 1 year. Now, are you rich? Yes.
Yeah, so we're about halfway through the video now, and all he's said so far is that making $1 million in a year is better than making $1 million in 40 years. Was that a point of confusion for some people? I mean, people that make $25,000 a year know that they're not rich, and I don't think they're intentionally making $25,000 a year as a strategy.
Let's think bigger. $1 million a month. The person who makes $1 million a month is 12 times richer than the person who makes $1 million a year.
So for the rest of the video, he sort of just continues to do multiplication and pretend that he's some sort of wizard, and then at the end of the video, he just says exactly what he said at the beginning.
So think about that. Do you want to make it quick or do you want to make it slow?
So you see what I'm saying, right? He makes videos with flashy titles on how to become rich, but doesn't actually say anything of much substance. He kind of just talks in circles for a few minutes, and if you're not really paying attention or maybe just aren't a very critical person, it might sound like he's saying something, but in my opinion, it's just nonsense. Now you might be wondering, who is Dan Lok? Well, he actually made a video to answer that exact question.
Hey boss. Wow.
Did that answer your question? No. Dan Lok's past is sort of vague. He has a very clear underdog, rags to riches come up narrative he uses every second he can to build credibility. In summary, he basically moved to Vancouver, Canada when he was pretty young. He didn't speak English at all, and then I think when he was a teenager, his parents got divorced and his dad went bankrupt. Essentially just to say that he is self-made and doesn't come from wealth, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, he uses this story as a 60 megaton payload of pathos and drops it in his audience's ears, but that doesn't mean it's not true. I'm not trying to take away his accomplishments or diminish the road he had to take to get to where he is. If you start from nothing and become very successful through legitimate means, that's great. However, his background in terms of how exactly he became a multi-millionaire financial guru is a little less convincing. Now, one of the things Dan brings up a lot is that he started and failed 13 different businesses before he was successful. Really just to paint that have to fail to succeed, never stop grinding kind of narrative. But as far as I can tell, the business that ended up being successful for him was his current endeavor, which is selling advice on how to become successful. So buying one of his courses is sort of like if you enrolled in a college calculus class, but the teacher hadn't actually learned calculus yet. Obviously, this video is dumb, and the top comment on it is, after watching this video, I still have no idea who Dan Lok is, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. And he liked it. So maybe that shows some level of self-awareness with his content, or possibly more likely, he's not running his own YouTube account. I mean, in the last video, he talked all about how time is your most valuable asset and how he uses his time in a way that makes him the most money. So I can't imagine he's sitting around writing heartfelt comments to fans. And the next video I'm about to show you might further prove that.
The most critical, and which is what I'm going to share with you today.
The king of high ticket sales. World's highest paid consultant.
Oh God, that is the worst
Media
audio I've
celebrity.
ever heard. Ah!
Multi-million entrepreneur. Acclaimed TEDx speaker.
Make it stop. Make it
Best-selling
stop.
author. Dan Lok.
Oh God, that's so bad. So either he's not running his own YouTube channel and possibly not even watching his own videos, or he just does not give a shit. Because how could you export your video, hear that part of it sounds like it was recorded through a garbage disposal, and still give it the green light? And I mean, I know that he doesn't edit his own videos. A lot of YouTubers don't, and that's fine. But really? To be fair, this is the only video I found like this. Most of them are fine. I'm nitpicking, so I'll let it slide. Now, if you could actually decipher what was being said in the back of the dump truck at the rock quarry where that audio was recorded, you might have noticed that he humbly brands himself as many things. But the one that caught my eye was acclaimed TEDx speaker. And after further research, 2 of those words are true. Now, one thing that's really important to know is the difference between a TED Talk and a TEDx Talk, because there's a very big distinction. A TED Talk is the event that is associated with a certain level of genius or profound perspective, or at least a compelling story. And these events are curated and endorsed by the TED organization. A TEDx Talk is sort of like Ted's fast and loose cousin who plays guitar in his mom's garage and will pretty much hang out with anyone who bums him a gas station cigar. Basically, TEDx events are independently organized, which means that anyone can apply for their event to be a TEDx-like event. And if approved, they get the TEDx badge and a platform on the TEDx YouTube channel. What this means is that there's just less consistent quality in the content underneath the TEDx umbrella because it's just not held to the same standard as its highbrow counterpart. And the top comment on the video explaining the difference between the two is, so TEDx is random bullshit and TED is intellectual quality content. So not to say that all TEDx talks are bad, because they're not, but just keep it in mind. Cover your ears. Oh shit, that's actually really good. I didn't mess it up. Dan Lok has given 2 TEDx talks in the Vancouver, Canada area. And I'm actually going to start with his second TEDx talk, which he gave at TEDx SFU and was posted to the TEDx YouTube channel in 2017. And it's called The Unstoppable Force, The Real Difference Between Success and Failure.
I want you to imagine a person that you like, respect, and looked up to. Someone who you consider to be very successful. Go ahead and do that.
Again, he's dressed as if he lives in the capital in the Hunger Games series, sporting some tasteful slippers, of course, would expect nothing less.
I want you to imagine what life could be like if you could be your very best in every area of your life. Your relationship, your finance, your business, your career, your family, your health, your hobby, your passion. What would it be like if you could be at your very best in every area of your life?
Essentially, through poorly executed metaphor and uninspiring exposition, he comes to the final conclusion that in order to be successful, you have to work hard.
When you want something bad enough, and you work for it long enough, and you believe in it strong enough, you will get it.
Who knew? It's just not very interesting or engaging. I mean, he has a few jokes in here. You can see for yourself.
Let's just pretend for a moment that we all got 100 IQs, okay? For some people in this room, I'm giving you a little. For some people in this room, you don't want success as bad as you want Pokemon Go.
I mean, I guess it was 2017, so it was relevant, but what?
See, the problem is you can't Google download hunger. Someone was trying to do that. You can't Google download it.
Google download it? I've never heard anybody describe downloading something from the internet as Google downloading it. Did anybody revise this speech?
And say, you know what? I'm going to jump. And guess what? When you're hungry, you'll dash off that cliff and you will jump.
His big eye-opening analogy for hard work is about a kid who wants to be successful, finding a millionaire and asking him for advice, and then the millionaire takes him to a boxing ring and just keeps punching him in the face and telling him to get back up because, again, it's just the never stop grinding sort of narrative. But the way he describes this millionaire in this hypothetical situation is possibly the least subtle humble brag of all time.
And he wanted to be successful. And he's heard of this millionaire in his town who's got a great reputation. That not only he runs a very successful business, he's a family man, a man of integrity, also a very generous giver to his local charities.
And also he pays his taxes and he has an 8-inch dick, and in 2nd grade he didn't pee his pants in class, it was just water, but no one believed him. So yeah, just work hard in finances and stuff.
And later on I realized the people who try to persuade me to give up on my dreams, they're not trying to help me. They're trying to make sense why they have given up themselves.
#deep.
Yeah, it's just this whole rise and grind, be hungry, never give up, never back down too, elongated hype beast Instagram caption. And it's not that he's saying anything inherently wrong, it's just that he's not really saying much at all. He's just using slightly different words to say the same exact thing over and over again, which is that if you really wanted to do something, you would just do it. And look, if you watch this and you take something away from it and it makes you feel inspired or empowered, then that's fine. I've just always thought that these types of motivational speakers always come across as disingenuous and that their words usually mean less when you take them below the surface level. Foreshadowing. The reason I started with his second TEDx talk over his first one is because I think it's a better example of who he is as a public speaker. And there's a very good reason for that. Now, the first TEDx talk he gave was in 2016, which he gave at TEDx Stanley Park, and it was called The Invisible Force Self-Image Enables You to Achieve Great Goals. When the title of your speech is in broken English, that's a good sign.
I'm going to explain an idea that will help you learn and understand and apply every single piece of information, knowledge, and insight that you'll get from all the fantastic speakers that you'll be listening to for the rest of today or any other day. An idea that will take what you learn to a whole new level.
And as you watch this, and I'm just going to play a few highlights, you'll notice that this speech feels much better prepared, and the content within the talk, well, it's nonsense, but it is a little bit more fleshed out and it feels more coherent than the second talk he gave.
The heater's kicked on, you feel there's a drive and there's this urge and you want to do something about it. By show of hand, how many of you ever experienced part of life, maybe your body, maybe your income, maybe your relationship, where it dropped and you felt it's not good enough and you felt this incredible drive to do something about it, yeah? But you see, one of the great mistakes that most people make is they're attempting to change their body, they're attempting to change their relationship, they're attempting to change their income, their finance, they're attempting to change something outside of themselves instead of changing something that's inside with themselves.
So why? Why would your second TEDx talk be almost objectively worse than your first one? Because you'd think it would be the other way around. As time went on, you would be improving. But that would be assuming that you had actually written your first TEDx talk. When I was watching the Invisible Force talk, I was scrolling through the comments and I came across a very interesting claim. A commenter by the name of JL24577 commented just last year that this is Bob Proctor's talk on cybernetics, and two other viewers agreed. Now, I had never heard of Bob Proctor or cybernetics, whatever the fuck kind of pseudoscience horseshit that is, but after a quick YouTube search, I came across this video from Proctor Gallagher Institute titled How to Build Your Self-Image, and it was posted only a few weeks before TEDx SFU took place. The reason that that's important is because it is indeed the same speech.
Hello there and welcome. I am going to explain an idea that every child should learn before they even go to school. And yet, most people go right through their life and never really understand it.
I'm going to explain an idea that every child should learn before they go to school. Yet most people go through their lives, never really understand it.
Now, let's suppose your self-image is that you are overweight. Oh, you don't talk about it. You don't want anybody else to talk about it. But inside you feel you're overweight. And you just get to a point where you can't handle it anymore, so you make a decision, I'm going to go on a diet, and you instantly move into action.
Let's say you have a self-image of someone who's overweight. And you don't want to talk about it, and you don't want anyone else to talk about it either. But until one day you just, you know what, I'm gonna make a change. I'm gonna do something. I want to lose weight because I'm tired of being single.
The only difference here is that Dan decided to also fat shame single people who might be a little overweight, which is a nice touch.
When a person who is overweight goes on a diet without changing or altering the self-image, any weight loss is temporary. That's why people gain and lose tons in a lifetime.
You see, when a person who's overweight goes on a diet without altering their self-image, any weight loss will be temporary. That's why you see people gain and lose a ton in their lifetime. Look at Oprah.
Oh my God. Everything he actually is adding to this is just making it so much worse. I mean, listen to that audience reaction.
Look at Oprah.
Yeah, because you look like you have the body of Channing Tatum under that suit you stole from a high school kid at prom. What a dumbass. Even if he somehow did legally obtain the rights or something like that, it should be disclosed. Because if it's not, you're lying to your audience. And if you're lying to your audience here, why should they believe you anywhere else? And I know that everyone, including myself, borrows ideas and concepts from other people to inspire their own work, but there's a difference between letting someone else's work inspire your own perspective and straight up Control-C, Control-V their words. If you claim to be this world-renowned motivational speaker and writer, but you can't even fucking string together an original sentence that'll be broadcast to an audience of 23 million people, you've lost the little credibility you had to begin with. But will that stop a blind cult following? No, of course not. Here's my take. If you watch his YouTube videos and his uninspiring and stolen TED Talks, and that gets you up in the morning and makes you feel empowered or inspired, then whatever. And I only say that because it's free. I can fault him for plagiarism, which I did, but I can't really fault Dan Lok for making shitty but rather harmless YouTube content. Is it poorly made, shallow, inspirational cash grab flex content? Yes, but he has a mainly adult audience who can make decisions for themselves, so I don't think it by itself is necessarily hurting anyone. However, what I have a bigger problem with and am much more skeptical of are the products he actually is selling. If you go to worldwideweb.danlok.com, you will be greeted with this page. Welcome to the world designed by Dan Lok, which is the last line you want to open with if you're trying to sound like you're not running a cult. But maybe your attention is drawn to the banner on the top titled Secrets of the Rich, which you can reserve seats to. And if you click on that link to reserve your seat, obviously, you get this exclusive invite to live event with Dan Lok and mystery investor Mr. T. That's right, you get to pay at minimum $1,000 plus travel and lodging to go see someone. You don't know who, but you can take Dan Lok's word for it. The justification for why this guy has to be kept a secret is so fucking dumb. They just say that Mr. T has to be hidden because he doesn't want the banks chasing him down for putting all their investment options to shame and taking all their clients with tax lien certificates. But it says up top that it's completely legal, guaranteed by law. So why does this Mr. T have to hide? He doesn't. It's just a shitty marketing ploy. At the end, they threaten you by saying that if you leak the content of this conference, you will be banned from future Dan Lok and Mr. T events, but then just a few lines down, they say that this is the only time an event like this will even be held, so doesn't seem like you have much to lose. Really, this entire page just uses the same marketing strategy as porn sites use to advertise penis enlargement drugs. It's just blatantly shitty advertising. And I don't mean to be rude, but if you don't see right through this, I don't know what to tell you. But this event hasn't actually happened at the time of me filming this video, so there aren't like any reviews of it, but there is plenty of feedback on his existing line of products. And it's a mixed bag, kind of. Dan Lok sells a lot of things. Surprised? He's written a handful of best-selling financial/motivational books, although bestseller lists are notoriously laughable and not a good representation of how a book is actually selling. But regardless, his books do have very good reviews on Amazon. However, it is my assumption that the people buying his books are the same people that watch him say nothing for 18 minutes and then comment, "You're brilliant by your use of the obvious," which is just both the greatest and the dumbest thing I've ever read. But the main thing he sells are courses on how to get rich, and the most popular one seems to be this high-ticket closer program, which teaches you this, whatever that means. And you put your name in and your email, and you get to watch the 4-part series for free? All right then, maybe this guy's legit. So let's take a look. Why high-ticket closing is the most profitable and easy to start side hustle and profession.
Hi, this is Dan Lok.
Okay, blah, 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 blah.
Or you want to invest in cryptocurrency. Guess what do you need to invest? You need money to do that. So the question is, how do you get started if you don't have a lot of money to start off with? Or also, how do you get started if you don't have a lot of time?
He claims that this is for people who have no experience and no money, which is bold, to say the least.
In this video, I'm going to teach you the very same skill set that has helped my students from over 150 countries to quit their jobs, to earn more money, and overall just experience more freedom and happiness. Does that sound good to be true? I can assure you, it is true.
Yeah, okay, we'll see.
Getting them on the good old telephone to communicate and articulate the value of why they should invest at such a high level, why they should buy the high ticket offers.
What kind of offers? Who knows? Not important, I guess.
The action, you can get a piece of that revenue. Does that make sense?
And then he has this unrelated clip from Iron Man that he jacked from Watch Mojo, which is an interesting choice.
You may be wondering, well, Dan, that sounds good, but how am I going to find these companies? How am I going to find these entrepreneurs? And how should I work with them? And how do I do closing?
Yeah. Why didn't you just start with that?
5 calls, $500 a day. That means what? That equals $2,000 per week.
And then again, he does more theoretical multiplication based on nothing.
That you're earning, multiplies that by 4 weeks, that's $8,000.
And if you made double that, you'd be making $16,000 a month. And if you started making 100 times that, you'd be making $1.6 million a month. And if you Okay, well that's enough of that. So part 1 of 4 is just about how much you're going to learn in the next 3 parts of the series. So this 22-minute video was pointless?
Does that make sense?
All right, despite the website saying to check your email tomorrow for the next course, I had to wait like almost 3 days, but eventually they did email me the link, and now we have the second course unlocked. So hopefully this is where we actually start learning something.
Hi, this is Dan Locke.
This one is tips on how to make sales over the phone, which is a relevant topic. And to be completely honest, this video isn't as bad as the first one. He actually gives you some advice. However, it just feels like most of what he says would be common sense.
You slow down, right? You don't close with your mouth, you close with your ears. You have to learn to be a good listener. So let me give you an example. Comment below and see if you can hear the difference. I'm gonna do it 5 different ways. So what can I do for you? 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 Do you hear the difference?
Oh, so just talk like a regular person. I need to get a pen to write this down. So the whole message here is just to listen more and talk less, and essentially just try to make it a pleasant interaction for the customer, because then they'll be more likely to be interested in what you have to say, which is true, but again, it's pretty generic advice.
High ticket closing secret number 3.
Guys, this shot would look sick if I was standing in front of my life-size infinity gauntlet, right? Can you pan over so can you get this in the shot? Yeah, no, it's full size. I paid 10 grand for it, so. Yeah, no, I mean, my wife left me, but look at this thing. But the reason he's in front of his infinity gauntlet is because he uses it to rebrand astrology by introducing the 4 gem personality types, which is exactly what you think it is. The idea being that if you can learn how to identify and cater to the only 4 personalities that people have, you can sell to them better. And again, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Obviously, you want to appeal to your audience. It's just a weird way to get there. Okay, part 3. I'm getting bored, so we're just gonna go through this super quick because I have a sneaking suspicion that once we get to part 4, none of this is gonna matter. Okay, so he starts by giving you a 4-part formula for influencers or something like that. Part 1 is that you have to hone your skills as a salesperson, or high ticket closer as he calls them. You have to find someone reliable to sell for. You have to present offers that people simply cannot refuse. And he explains this by saying that if a company's product is a good value for the price, it's easier to sell, which means that not even Don Draper could sell Dan Locke's products. And also the editor fucked up both the graphics for these because once again, no one making these videos gives a shit. And last but not least, you have to have superior marketing, which means that you have to partner with Don Draper or none of this is gonna work. And then there's a bunch of testimonials that are obnoxiously positive, obviously.
What the fuck is that? That's fucking loud. What the fuck is that? It's a boom!
Why am I doing this to myself? For the remainder of part 3, he just asks you a bunch of rhetorical questions that are all synonymous with things like, do you want to be less rich or more rich? What do you think is better? More money or less money? Is making more money better than making less money? And then he says this.
Because you and I, we don't want to be selling like products that are not good, that are not good quality. We want to feel good about what we do.
Are you kidding me?
In the next video, I'm going to teach you the fastest and easiest way to get started as a high ticket closer.
And let me guess, the best way to become a high ticket closer is to buy something you're selling. Okay, let's get this over with. Of course, right when you load up the page for part 4, there's a giant blue button that says, yes, I want to have sex with Dan, or wait, yeah, I want to be a high ticket closer. So I'm not even gonna watch the video. Let's just see where it goes. And sure enough, it takes you to a checkout window for $2,500. So you can actually start the high ticket closer program because despite there being no mention of it anywhere, the 4 videos you just watched were just meaningless advertisements to get you to buy the thing you thought you were already getting. That's just good business. Also, this probably doesn't mean anything, but obviously I created this email, danlock4pres 2020, just to sign up for this course. And the high ticket closer sign up page was the first and only thing I put my email into. And after I did, I went back to my tab with Gmail open to get the link to the next video, and it had logged me out and given me a suspicious activity warning, which is probably unrelated, but it is undeniably poetic. Now, I'm not gonna spend $2,500 on his course because I would get more value out of buying a bright red suit and a custom license plate than anything he has to say. But I will take a look at some of the reviews that other people have left. And they pretty much go how you'd think. You either get people who are Dan Lok cult members, who crusade to defend him no matter what. Like this guy, who is a master photographer in fine art. Fine art. And yet he thinks that Dan Lok's content is of the highest quality. There's a lot of accounts on this Quora forum I found with generic names and generic pictures that say very generic positive things about Dan Lok. And then you click on their profile to find that it's the only thing that's ever been posted from that account. Or you get people who say it depends. In this review I came across from the channel OMG It's Patrice, this guy says he bought one of Dan Lok's courses through a third-party website for much cheaper and found that while some of what Dan Lok said was interesting, it would not have been worth the actual price it was being sold for. And honestly, it does depend because what he's selling is subjective. But the way that I see it is that if I'm about to fork over $2,000 for something, its quality better not depend. So, what's the conclusion? Well, if you advertise your product in a very transparent, manipulative fashion, you sort of lose all credibility in my eyes. And for someone who claims to be a successful copywriter, it's pretty unimpressive. Products that are of high quality and good value don't advertise like this. Pop-up windows, clickbait website ads, and porn sites do. Regardless of whether or not you think this is a scam, it's undeniable that he's trying to con you into buying it. And I just think that's important to realize. I think it's really important to be critical of everything, but especially the things you spend your money on and commit your time to. I've given countless examples in this video of just how lazy and redundant his free online content is. So why would I be inclined to believe that he treats his paid content any different? Personally, I would not buy anything he's selling. He seems to just rebrand existing concepts by giving them douchey new terms and putting them in a gold font and acting as if they're revolutionary. If you really want to learn about affiliate marketing, I'm sure that you can do a quick Google search and with a little bit of time, learn everything that this $2,500 course and the $1,000 mystery seminar has to offer for free online. And what I think the overall point is that paying for this kind of advice is sort of always going to be a little bit of a scam, because advice is essentially worthless, right? People give advice all the time for free because the value isn't in the advice itself, the value comes from how you interpret it. So the person giving you the advice doesn't really have anything to lose. Dan Lok doesn't sell you his advice because he genuinely wants to help you. He sells you his advice because he genuinely wants to buy more pairs of expensive slippers. So my advice would be that if you find yourself enjoying Dan Lok's content for whatever reason, you can watch him jerk himself off on YouTube and Instagram for free. But just be critical. Think about what he's saying and don't just blindly follow it. And most importantly, don't breach that paywall, because it's never going to be worth it. And even to argue that point using one of Dan Lok's own beliefs, time is your most valuable asset. So why would you waste any of it inflating a serial entrepreneur's fragile ego? And with that, dinner is served.